closer to Jesus than Superman, because Jesus was almost a Marvel Comics character. Ghost Rider, Johnny Blaze, the first Blazing Skull Ghost Rider. There was a cowboy Ghost Rider, but he's just called Ghost now. Created by Roy Thomas, Gary Friedrich, and Mike Ploog, Johnny Blaze debuted in Marvel Spotlight number 5 in August 1972. Since then, the title powers of the Ghost Rider has become a legacy that stretches across the Marvel Comics universe. Danny Ketch, Robbie Reyes, Alejandro Jones, and of course Frank Castle, just to name a few, who've taken the title Ghost Rider. The second Ghost Rider comic series began in 1973 with stuntman Johnny Blaze. Blaze is dealing with the curse of demonic powers he gained after making a deal with the devil. This series of Ghost Rider continued till July 1983 with issue number 81, a 10-year run for an original character, an original horror character. It's an impressive feat. But Phil, I can hear you say, how does this have anything to do with Jesus being a Marvel Comics character? Yeah, I'm getting there. Wait. Slow. Marvel was trying to get Ghost Rider over, to make him the popular and sustainable property he is today. The early issues, they switched writers around and artists around. Tony Isabella ended up landing the writing gig after partnering with Gary Friedrich in issue 6. From issues 7 to 9, Isabella wrote an arc dealing with the villain Zodiac and a demon entity known as Inferno. Satan is also there, attempting to get Johnny Blaze's girlfriend Roxanne to release her protection of Blaze. It was due to her purity. It's the comics in 1970s. Needless to say, Satan is successful in tricking Roxanne and can now claim Johnny's soul. At the conclusion of issue 9, a new player enters when all hope is lost. Satan, lauding his victory over Johnny and Roxanne, is called out to. "You are wrong, Satan," a voice calls. "As long as there are people of goodwill on this world, Satan, they shall always stand between you and your innocent victims." A slim, long-haired man with a beard and denim jacket is calling out the father of lies. This stranger goes on to declare that Johnny Blaze's only sin was despair. And that is not enough sin to condemn him to your domain, says the stranger. The stranger helps Johnny Blaze up and continues to dunk on Satan, who flees, ruining his chance, but declaring he will not forget this loss. You can hear him saying, "I will not forget this loss. I can't say who you are." Jesus. Johnny, still in his blazing skull form, asks who the stranger is. The reply being, "I am ... a friend. Beard, long hair, denim jacket, tells the devil where to go, forgives sins." Add to this the use of "I am," which is the name God gives God's self for Moses to tell the Israelites at the burning bush. Tony Isabella was not subtle at all. This was supposed to be Jesus in a Marvel comic. If you have any doubts, you merely have to continue reading Ghost Rider. From issues 10 to 18, it continues a Marvel mystery gospel. Johnny begins to see changes in his power set. The flaming form he was cursed with is no longer much of a curse. Where once every night the change came upon him, now it only appears forcefully in the presence of evil or danger, like Peter Parker's spider sense. Even when Blaze is not in his own comic, the Jesus mystery is never too far away. Champions, the forerunner to West Coast Avengers, has Johnny join Angel, Iceman, Black Widow, and Hercules. Champions was also written by Tony Isabella. Of course, the consistency in Blaze's narrative was going to be kept up. But even in a comic not written by Tony Isabella, the mystery continues. Steve Gerber's Marvel 2-in-1 number 8 from 1974 is a Christmas story set in Arizona with Johnny Blaze and Art Petunia's favourite nephew, the ever-loving, blue-eyed idol of millions, Ben Grimm the Thing. This is a bonkers story and deserves to have its own episode. Quickly, look, what happens is that Ghost Rider and the Thing find themselves in what appears to be a recreation of the birth of Jesus in Bethlehem. This time it's on Indian tribal lands in Arizona, the tribal lands belonging to friend of Fantastic Four, Wyatt Wingfoot. It's comics. It boils down to the machinations of Miracle Man, an obscure Fantastic Four villain trying to gain god powers by recreating the birth of Jesus. Ben and Johnny disguise themselves as part of the wise men. Fight ensues. Miracle Man is defeated and taken away by the other wise men, who actually happen to be ancient interdimensional beings. Comics. After the fight, Johnny muses on why Miracle Man's powers did not work on him. Could it have been due to the fact of his connection with a friend and the child being there, that he was protected or aided by him? Johnny's thoughts, step around the obvious, yet he cannot admit the identity of a friend. After all this setup, when you finally read issue 19 and it's revealed that a friend is just another demon, it's a bit of a letdown. The reveal is something told to Blaze by the Challenger, who is merely Satan in disguise. It's a real big letdown. You begin to think that Tony Isabella wrote himself into a corner here and couldn't stick the landing. Have a look at the writing credits for Ghost Rider issue 19. Jim Shooter and Tony Isabella. You see, something else happened, because issue 19 does not have the story Isabella originally wrote. Historically, it is a point of contention between Isabella and then editor Jim Shooter. Shooter, having read the final story, balked at the finished comic. Isabella explains that Shooter tore up some of the finished artwork. What enraged Shooter was that Isabella was going to have Johnny Blaze become a believer, a Christian. Now, there are characters in Marvel Comics who's known as being Christian. Matt Murdock, Daredevil Comics have heaps of Catholic imagery. Kurt Wagner, Nightcrawler, successfully trained as a priest. That's just two. And we could cite others who are not just Christian, but Muslims, Jews, Hindus, Buddhists. There are deities of myth and legend who are in Marvel Comics. Thor, Hercules, Gilgamesh, they're Avengers. Isabella's story goes that Shooter claimed that to have Jesus in Marvel Comics, it was going to make Marvel Comics exclusively Christian. Shooter is on the record of saying that Isabella wanted to make Johnny Blaze overtly Christian. Isabella denies this. At the time, Marvel were publishing heaps of comics with hell in them. In 1973, there were at least 11 titles dedicated to hell, Dracula, monsters, or demons. This was the era when the son and daughter of Satan were also characters Marvel was trying to get over. Isabella recalls that he saw a lot of hell and thought, why not balance it out with a bit of heaven? Shooter was the editor, Isabella was merely the writer. The story was changed. Read the Marvel Wiki about a friend, and you will see it's not Jesus, but a demon in disguise. Yet it throws 3 years of story out the window. Has it ruined the character of Ghost Rider? Not really. Was it a horrible moment for Tony Isabella? Certainly. Is the reason Jim Shooter was against it valid? Well, it's certainly questionable. After discussing this story with others, there is another reason to change Isabella's story to have Johnny become a Christian. Litigious and easily triggered fundamentalist Christians. I find myself siding with Isabella because I see a fellow artist having one of the worst responses you can get. Also, the subversion of having Jesus in Marvel Comics, it's just too delightful not to love. Look, while Daredevil and Nightcrawler can have history with the Christian faith, actually having Jesus in the Marvel Comics universe might not be a good thing because of Christians. And that hurts. As Gandhi said, and I'm paraphrasing, I like Jesus, it's just his followers I can't stand. Is Ghost Rider closer to Jesus than Superman? There are characters who canonically have had closer run-ins with Jesus than Johnny Blaze. However, for 3 years, Ghost Rider had a Jesus mystery as the major plot point. A mystery that was in 3 different comic series in that time. That it was written out against the wishes of Tony Isabella is a horrible moment. Yet the decision stood and still stands today. This was canonically not Jesus, even if Johnny Blaze thought it was for 10 issues. It took an editorial decision, a decision that has proved to be of little impact for the character. Even if you want to side with Isabella, Marvel would not want to stoush about Jesus, especially in the current religious climate. Even though a friend is canonically a demon masquerading as Jesus, the mystery was key to the character for 3 years. For 10 issues of Ghost Rider, a handful of issues in the Champions, and Marvel 2-in-1 number 8, Ghost Rider, Johnny Blaze had Jesus on his mind. Not many comic characters have Jesus so prominent in one issue, let alone 10. For this reason, Ghost Rider, Johnny Blaze, is closer to Jesus than Superman. Thanks to Tony Isabella for replying to confirm his side of the story on Twitter. This must have been a shocking moment. I do hope that using his story for my own silly argument about Superman is to his liking. This would not have been possible without the Marvel Ultimate app. For any and all serious comic book historians and commenters, it is a wonderful tool. It does not have everything on there, but it had all of the comics I have mentioned in this article. Do I think Marvel will sponsor me? It never hurts to try. Thank you very much for listening. Like, share, comment, subscribe, hit that little bell so you know the next time I actually put something up. Thank you very much once again for listening, and God bless.